Greetings and welcome to 5 Play Friday Live. Yeah, we're dealing with all the things. You know that's what we do. A lot of variables, right? You got to work with it. You got to work with it. Greetings, everybody. Glad to see you today. Got a special guest, which is adds to a little bit of potential issues with our normal flow. So let's just leave it at that. Leave it at that. I apologize for the false start. Good to see you, Jason Hayes. He's got multiple screens going, dominating the tournament. The tech team, I can't even blame them. Come on. Chris Janish in the house from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, is going to be dominating today on the show, that's for sure. Randy Wilson, good to see you. Yes. I assume Blue is still in the running. I didn't have any time to pay attention to anything related to collegiate basketball yesterday, but I do know that the Arizona Wildcats went down to the Tigers of Princeton. And the Gales, of course, in the tournament. One of their star players is a freshman named Mahaney. And I officiated him his last few years. He's from Moraga, or went to a school in Moraga, and then stayed and played collegiately. We'll see that. Adam, good to see you. Excellent. Mike's got a semifinal game. Now, Mike, are you, have you had to travel to this venue for, stay overnight kind of thing? In Anchorage. You're in Anchorage. Yeah. Montana is in the house. Good to see you, Rick. Boy, I saw them against Memphis. I was at the gym, and the game was on in Houston and was playing Memphis, and it's like nothing about them stood out. And I guess I don't know much. I'm going to stop talking. Good to see you, Lance. David's in the house. Where is my green? I'll tell you what, maybe our guest will more than make up for me. But since Gerald Mazzucci is in the house, we can get going. And Mike Connors is in the house. Good to see you. Ted, South Dakota, swelling. The contingent swelling. Good to see you. Isn't that just the way it goes? Yeah, sorry, Greg. Sorry, my bad. Have I ever done a bracket? Take the under. Okay, all right. I figured as much. So Mike, that's a commitment. That's a commitment. Awesome. You must be very well known in the officiating community in Alaska. That's all I'm going to say about that. Does anybody not know Mike Goodwin? No. And Sean is in the house. Good to see you, Sean. Well, many people find other reasons that they can. Awesome. All right, let's get on with this. So, all right. I think I'm poised for greatness here. I want to do that. Sometimes in our game, unique plays pop up. Let's look at unique plays today on 5 Play Friday. Stick around. Greetings, welcome back to another episode of 5 Play Friday, the show where we look at game video, get better as basketball officials. Let's get started without delay and take a look at play number 1. You make the call. All right, a couple of players doing the do-si-do there on the court. What do you have on this play? What would be your ruling? Do we have a double foul? Do we have an intentional foul? Do we have a combination? What do you have? Put your ruling down in the comments below. And remember to stick around to the end of the video as we will analyze play number 1 in all its glory. All right, and with that, let's move on now to play number 2. Oh, not more of this again. Hold on. Been having this issue. Hold on. But you know what? We just roll with it. All right. Let me just try this. All right, not something you see every day, an unusual jump ball scenario. Welcome back to 5 Play Friday, the show where we look at plays. My name's Greg Austin with A Better Official, and thank you for joining us today. And to analyze play number 2, we have with us today a special guest. Andrew Gross has joined, producing clips. Andrew, happy St. Patrick's Day to you. How are you?
Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day. I am doing well. It's a great day.
Fantastic. Well, obviously, we've seen plays together on Facebook groups, etc. Really appreciate your knowledge. I've actually had a chance to see your progression as you've moved from a high school official and now collegiate official, and it's exciting to see. Very dynamic on the court, very knowledgeable about the rules, and we're analyzing plays today so we can all get better. What do you have on this jump ball play?
Yeah, so I mean, on this play, the one thing that we need to remember is that the jumper has to stay in the center circle until the ball is touched by either or both of them. And then along with that, after that happens, they can't even just grab it if they're outside the circle. It's got to touch a player. It's got to touch the official. It's got to touch the floor, any of those other 3 things. I mean, I don't know if they took the backboard rule out of it or not, but I'm not sure I've seen a jump ball hit the backboard. But we got to remember those 3 things for sure. And if it somehow gets to that backboard, then they can also go and repeat it as well.
Indeed. It's not something you see in our brain is like, what is going on? This is a high processing play. That's the way I look at it. What we have there, just a second. So the restriction on the jumper is that they're not allowed to leave the circle until the ball is touched.
As far as I'm aware, until the ball is touched by either or both jumpers, and then they still can't even possess it. They They just have to wait till it hits the floor, a player, or an official. But they can leave the center restraining circle after it's touched by either or both jumpers.
Right. So if our player in red here had been like in this position when the ball was touched, they'd be legal in terms of leaving the circle. But in any way you slice it, they are going to be illegal in that they have caught the ball as a jumper before the jump ball ends, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Not something you see every day. Let me take, what's missing? I'm missing a shot here. Okay. Oh, that's what we're going to go with. Hold on one second.
Just to add another point, I mean, I could have clipped one of my own plays. I just found this one a little more unique in how the player starts leaving, and you almost have that contact with that other player right before the person possesses it. And so that kind of puts it into a weird perspective where had that player touched it first, that person might actually be able to grab that ball and then go take off and go to the hoop. I had one in right before a state tournament where we're starting the overtime period and tipper tips it from one tipper to the other one, and she just grabs it and takes off running. And it takes us like 3 seconds to process the play and be like, wait, they're not not able to do that yet. So it was
Well,
I think this is a better one to kind of show some nuances where if the ball is tipped by another player, then that jumper could have possessed that ball and taken off right after that.
yeah, and it always points out the fact that in jump ball scenarios, our bearings aren't set. First of all, I mean, we always tell ourselves, "Hey, I'm ready to officiate this game," and then something like this occurs, and we're immediately challenged to sort things out and do it in a timely fashion. But of course, we always want to give ourselves a little grace in this situation. If we wait a tick or 2 ticks or even 3 ticks and then realize, hey, that is a violation, we can always blow the whistle, own the fact that we came late, and just make the proper ruling on the play.
Well, and then, the follow-up question is, do you put time back at that 8-minute or that 20-minute if you're doing halves, or that 5-minute if you're in the overtime? Because there's no possession. It's violation on the touch or catch, I guess. And then you put the time back on the clock, you reset the shot clock, and then the arrow goes to the team that offended. And so there's a lot of things that go into that because we haven't even had a tick technically go off the clock at that point.
Well, when does our clock start on this play?
Oh, it does start on touch. So I guess
does it start legally?
Yeah, it starts on that first touch, I guess. So, you would have that. There would be no possession. So I guess you would restart the 35 shot. Well, I guess South Dakota, we have a 35 shot clock. I don't know.
We do in California as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all these things, we're going to have to sort them out. And what are we going to do mechanically on the floor? Who's going to have the throw in? Yeah. We're going to be in a moment of, again, our bearings aren't set. It's going to be confusing. We just have to own that fact. Let's figure it out. Anybody take the ball in. Let's make sure our clocks are right. The arrow is right. Everybody understands what has just occurred. And then we move forward, right? Yep. Just Absolutely. Have to own it. It's going to be a potentially a unique situation. Okay, so I'm going to go. I got to make one change here, and I'm going to do it on the fly. Why? Because I can. Hold on. This is everybody's favorite part of the show. Where's my farmer? talking. That's what I needed. My shot was missing. All right. Let's welcome everybody in. What do we have on play number 2? Dustin wants to know, and inquiring minds want to know, are you going to wear the jacket to your tournament game today? Andrew has a tournament game today in South Dakota.
Yeah, that is the question. I've considered it today. I mean, it feels nice, it looks nice, and I don't think too many people will see me in the morning session, so I might just pull it out and walk into the venue like this.
Okay, have we had any communication with our crew about what our attire? Are we going to go all green? And
Yeah,
wait a minute. I guess a key question is one of the two teams in the game, is their color green?
thankfully not. Last night I did have a team that was green, but this morning, nope, we're good.
Oh, so you had a tournament game last night as well?
Yeah, so we had an opening round game last night, and then the way our state tournament is set up is you get 3 games for sure. So you'll do the first round game, and then just kind of, I don't even know the structure of it, but you just go to the next game, and then you get to the final day. So you may end up doing 7th and 8th, or you might get to do a championship game. I don't know the criteria or how you get that, but it just goes like that.
Is maybe haberdashery is an influence.
Yeah, there you go.
How long have you had that jacket? That's what everybody wants to know.
I've honestly had it for 4 years, and every time something's come up, I haven't been able to wear it, and I took my advantage today to wear it.
Awesome. Todd wants to know, are you not supposed to be at home taking care of your babies?
Hey, the babies came with me to the state tournament here. The wife's out in the other room, and they are actually, unfortunately, a little sick right now. So it's
Oh, no. Oh,
kind of a
no.
sad thing, but they're doing really well.
Wait a minute. Let's test my skills. Let's see. Created. I'm gonna. Wait a minute. There we go.
Yep.
What are those two names? What are they named?
I think it's the same for each side. On the one with less hair, we'll go that direction, is Everett, and the one with more hair is Auden.
Nice. Nice. That's a
Yeah,
good looking crew there.
Yeah, one of my buddies said, "Hey, I know 2 officials that are better than you, at least."
Yeah.
So,
Well, anytime I see an official and their child has become officiating, usually it's at a greater age. I tell them,
yeah,
well, it won't be long until you're the best official in the family,
yeah,
because that's the way it works.
yeah.
Well, I suppose I could create a little overlay so that I have the similar jacket.
There you go.
That's too challenging. Chris, sometimes that's easier said than done. It's a challenge. I mean, that's what, for me, when it comes to, jump ball scenarios, is there's a lot of variables we're trying to think of, but really important is our orientation on the court. Which team is going in which direction? Obviously, we want to be ready to be in a 3-person game, in the right position, recognizing, etc. But stuff happens. Stuff happens. Just got to own it. Yes, it's the restraining circle. So in a previous episode of 5 Play Friday, I had said it's the semicircle, but it's actually the circle, right? So our jumper can go in the opposite direction and still be legal as long as they are within the circle before the first touch.
I think the point there, Greg, that he's trying to make is he is almost leaving before that ball is touched. And so if we think he has left before that ball is touched, then we wouldn't even start the clock. But I think that's kind of a gray line right there, because you could say he's still touching that restraining line circle, which would make him inside the circle. It's so fine of a line because that's how we judge that, a 3-point shot, his foot's on the line, or a 2-point shot, his foot's inside. If you're in the lane, your foot's on the line, you're in the lane. I think that'd be kind of like right in the gray area of did he leave? I think you could get away with saying, yeah, he left early and let's just kill it right here.
Well,
But it's really close.
if we employ the grandma principle,
Yeah.
grandma up in the 14th row would say, well, he left.
Yep.
I mean, it's an everybody knows kind of scenario. So we could,
Yep.
not pick nicks. But I would say if we've got a player who's outside, let's see. If we've got a player who is outside on the lane, they would not be able, their foot could not break the cylinder.
Yep.
So if this player is inside the lane, even though that's not specified, they couldn't break the cylinder. So I think,
Oh, okay.
I love the minutia. Who cares?
Yeah.
Oh. And I'm sure we're going to get a Billy Mack. Here it is. Here it is. Billy Mack hates jump
Yeah.
balls. He thinks they're
Oh, yeah.
antiquated, archaic, out of date. The officials don't know the rules, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, when you see jump balls in the NBA, right, where they actually have jump balls, and you see these large athletes, and they're all on the circle, and they're jockeying for position. A Warrior game the other night, Draymond Green says to the officials, I want that spot between those two players. He knows the rules, right? Are other players going to know the rules? High school players? No. Are the officials? Maybe.
Yep.
Maybe. Oy, oy, oy. All right, so that's that. That's that.
Who thought we'd go 20 minutes on that one play, right?
Well, you can get into the minutia of the rules, but I guess the question is always, is it if we're going to get into the minutia of a restart in the game of basketball, the jump ball, it doesn't have as much weight as throw-ins or free throws.
Yeah. Yep.
Which are going to happen a lot. All right. We've looked at a unique jump ball play. Let's move on to our next play. Let's look at play number 3. All right, so we have a shooting foul from lead coming out of their primary on this play. Andrew, have we committed a crime here by doing so?
At times, this is not a play that you want to come and get as a lead, especially if you look at it, it is not even lanes. It's not even my side of the lane. It's opposite side of the lane. But if you look in the middle of the lane, there's no action going there. And my eyes, obviously, a lot of times we get our eyes watching towards the ball. So it gets over there. And right when that happens, I just see the contact going up on the middle of the forearm and working its way up before it's fully extended. There's different philosophies on touches on the hands and things like that. But this one to me was a clear, he hadn't even extended his arm. He's going up in the shooting motion. He contacts him right in the middle of the arm. I'm waiting for my partners to make a call. Nothing. Okay, I'm going to go and get this one. And it's really cadenced, really late. But I think it's a foul we need to get in this game. Because if we don't get that one, we're going to go down the other side. We might get a cheap one. And then the coach is going to go from 0 to 100 really quickly.
Yeah. Well, this play brings up the question of obvious foul out of my primary. What am I going to do?
Yep.
What am I going to do? Right? It's like, some officials want to hold on to a philosophy that, I'll live and die in my primary, you stay in yours, etc. But
Hmm.
and sometimes it's just like I'm not officiating that play. I'm not ball watching on the play, but the play I see the play, right?
Yep.
Those things are going to happen, and there's an obvious foul, and so we have to make a decision. It's like, am I going to ignore an obvious foul and sort of support our philosophy as a crew to stay in our primary, etc., or are we going to say, look, that's an obvious foul. You don't have a foul. You don't have a foul. I'm going to blow a whistle.
Yep. You can't just be like 99% sure. Like this one has to be even almost more than 100%. You have to know how the contact happened, where it happened, and be able to explain that to the coach and say this one's going to show up on film and you're going to be able to see this one. We can't just go, as the term is, fishing in other people's pond and thinking that it's the call and then it doesn't show up on film. It has to show up on the film if you're going to do that.
Yeah, I actually love the call from lead in this situation because a lot of times, if we, our view as center is, I see the defender's arm move in a fashion that could possibly have created contact,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure. It was on the opposite side of the
Yeah.
arm, etc. And the same as the trail, or either official just was looking at the feet or the body, and missed the contact up top.
Yeah.
But if you're ever in the position here as lead, and you see this, you get that sideways action by the defender on a shooter's arm, it is super obvious.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good point to make is that hands coming from the inside. The C is going to have a tough time seeing that play on his side. And the trail where he's at, I mean, it's one that comes right through and almost opens up to that lead on that play more than either of the other two officials. You could maybe see, like you said, you could maybe see from the C that maybe there was some contact there, but it has to be like you probably would have to take a step down or two to then see that. So, I mean, if we want to talk about position readjustment, seeing the player move and pull up, well, now let's take two steps down to our left because then we might be able to see that. I think at this point where the C is, we're getting stacked. And so
Yeah.
we're not seeing if that contact is actually there on the arm.
Yeah, so that when this player steps down, they're obviously beginning their shooting motion, and our center should definitely try to position adjust so they can get the best possible look. There's no way they're going to get it outside, any sort of look here. So if we read the players here, we could get better, but it's still not going to be ideal.
Yeah, agree.
Okay, and then I do that. And then we go. So I'm jump ball. Yes, Billy Mack loves jump balls. I love jump balls in overtime. I don't necessarily love the the jump ball in to start the game. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was at the gas pump yesterday, and the word of the day was no, I don't even remember. It wasn't haberdashery though. Rod Donnelly in the excellent. Yeah, yeah. Tim Carper. What would the signal be, Andrew, for that if we had a jump ball violation? What is our signal?
I'm just putting my hand up for a dead ball, and what I did is when I had a call, I put my hand up and I pointed at the center circle. That's all I did, and then I pointed the direction the ball's going.
Yeah, yeah. We're left to
I
our own
don't know.
devices.
Yeah. It's actually this one. It's this one right here. It's the opposite of the jump ball. You do the double thumbs down. That's the signal.
Or do a big circle.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, it can be creative, but maybe just an open hand. There's no prescribed signal. Yes, yes. In the far off times, there used to be a jumper had to keep a foot within a little tiny circle in the circle. Has anybody? I wonder if anybody's. During COVID, I think some jump balls were
Hmm.
eliminated, and they would just award the ball to the visitor or something like that. I wonder if anybody's stayed with that. Here we are. Sean thinks the C should have gotten this play. Better be 100. The thing is, from this angle, from the lead's angle, you're gonna be 100, right? Because you're gonna, you get the shooter's, because you see the shooter's arm, and then you're gonna see the defender. See the shooter's arm, the defender, and it's gonna be one of these things. And of course, if we're coming out of our primary, we our partners. I don't know that our trail loves the call from lead here with the body language. I don't know if our trail even had a look on the play. I would think we'd want to have an opinion by the trail on this play. But if I'm the center here and you make this call, Andrew, what am I going to say? Thank you. Thank you. Because I thought maybe, but we can also say that, I know that you had the angle and I didn't want to guess. I saw the swipe. I saw the movement by the defender's arm. It was on the opposite side. Maybe our shooter has been embellishing a little bit during the game. I don't know if I can trust their reaction to the play.
And I think this comes down to knowing personnel also on this team. That player in red is basically the only player they have. So he's going to do one of two things. He's going to dribble to his left and pull up, or he's going to put his head down and go to the right and do a spin move back to the left. Like, that's just what his game plan was. And so I knew when he was dribbling to the left, we may get a post up. So I started moving. You can kind of see that. As someone mentioned, yes, you want to close down more. I was quite wide when the player was almost starting on the opposite side. But yeah, you want to close down more and then really get to that free throw or the lane line there, not the free throw line, the lane line there. So you even have a better look at that if you're going to come and get it. But yeah, just knowing personnel, I think, is a huge thing as well.
Yeah. And we've got a classic high school environment here. Not the most room to work on the inline or the sideline, it appears.
Yeah, no, you're stepping on people's feet working on the sideline there.
Interesting. So, a consideration, would you, let's say this was a playoff game. Now, obviously, it's a small venue. Are we considering potentially having nobody allowed to stand here?
I mean, every time, even when we've had first round playoff games, they've had people standing there, and it's an issue, but it's not. I've never had an issue as an official. I've actually had more of an issue on the opposite side, opposite corner from where that shot is. There's a concession stand that's right there, so you got like no room on the end line in a concession stand. So that's more the issue with that gym, I think.
High school, there you go. Oh. Tim says, as a broadcaster, he's trying to improve his craft, and he will often say, that's, not my area, coach, which can be a cop-out. The question is, does the foul rise to the level of obvious, and therefore, and then there even, a problem would be, like, if our center had a play, let's say here at the M on the court, and we're lead over here, and we see a rake across the arm. It's like at some point we're just too far away to come out of our primary. But on this one, we're in great shape.
And I think following up on that too, Greg, is just like I've got no action in the post area there, so my eyes need to go somewhere else to find what's going to hurt us next. And so if there's nothing in the post, I got to find something. And if that's the next thing that's going to hurt me, that's what I'm going to look for. And I think the cop out, not my area, I can get away with saying, in that play, I can't say I was looking at something else because there's no way I could have looked at anything else. But on another play, say that guy on the post comes over and starts posting up really hard. He's not going to do it on this team. But say he comes in and seals in hard and I got to rotate over. Well, I'm not going to see that shot because I'm going to go get to the post action. So I think the cop out is less when you actually have action in your area. But yeah, on this play, there's no action in almost any area. Actually, the only action is that play.
Indeed. Paul Sullivan is in the chat. Paul, it's always good to see you. Much appreciated. I imagine at the tournament level, we're going to see really, really high level officiating. What's really been impressive to me is the older officials have become much better at position adjustment. I think sort of like 5 years ago, older officials would be very static, but they've seen the light and are much better. Yeah. We are working high school on this play. All right. Let's go here. All right. Let's move on. Let's look at play number 4. Well, come on, ref. That's got to be something because everybody on the bench jumped up and waved their arms. So that's got to be something. What do we have on this play?
Yeah, we've got a nice fast break, a sweet pass to there, and then a guy goes up for layup. And this is the one that gets a lot of people because you see it in the NBA, you see it in the college game. But if we're talking specific NFHS rules, backboard means nothing. The flight is everything we're looking at. And so if this ball hits the backboard, now does it go to the downward flight? And this is where I think the downfall of the NFHS rule is, because now we as officials have to determine, is this downward flight? And I think it's really tough. But on this play, I think he hits it so quickly that we can't say that ball is going downward yet. And obviously we see the bench jump up. We see the coaches all jump up. The thing you can't see on this play is I put my hand up and I yell at them, I'll get back to you in a few seconds, like when we come down. And we had a timeout. We go down there. I go to that side, and I said, this is what I saw. And I said, I saw the ball hit. Well, even the coach knew, too. He's like, I know the ball can touch the backboard, which is surprising because you don't see too many coaches that know the rule. And he's like, I know it can touch the backboard, but I thought it was on the downward flight. And I said, I agree it touched the backboard, but in my opinion, it was not going down. And so for me, it was surprising to hear him say that. And then he just moved on right after that. I think it helped that the score was about a 20-point differential at that point. So that may have helped him just move on right away. But at the time, it was the number 1 and number 2 teams in the state in our Class A. And so it's a highly contested game. Or maybe been 18. I don't know. But it wasn't really that close of a game.
I guess the other variable here is, whether or not the ball is in the cylinder.
Yeah,
right?
Correct.
So we've got two levels to think about. One is goaltending because it's on the downward flight and has a chance to go in. But the other is if the player lays the ball and it's in the square of the backboard and it's contacted, we could have basket interference as well. Puts a lot of pressure on the officials.
Correct. And that's why this is the one rule I'm just indifferent about at the NFHS level. I like a lot of the other rules for high school players' sake, but this one is now we're putting the officials in a situation where I've got to determine flight and in cylinder versus it hit backboard. We're going to count this goal.
Yeah, and you work NCAA men's as well, so it's like you probably get there. That's the rule. Well, that makes this a lot easier.
Yep. Yeah.
So, the one thing I would caution on a play like this is I had a similar play a few years ago. Very distinctly remember where it may have been in the cylinder, but my brain said, I immediately said, "Oh, wait a minute, no, that's going to be legal because it's not on the downward flight," and I basically stopped officiating the legality of the play
Yeah.
and sort of set aside the possibility that it was actually in the cylinder.
Yeah.
And I go back and watch the video, and it's like, yeah. And so, sometimes we sort of celebrate our knowledge about a rule and our the lack of knowledge by others, the bench, etc. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, you don't know the rule, but we
Yeah.
we disconnect from other possibilities. So that's
Yeah.
one thing I'd caution, because it happened to me. It
Hmm.
happened to me. Ooh. Now I'm trying to do better with a guest at being in the chat. It's challenging. And so Mike says if the ball touched inside the shooter's square, it is sort of like by dimension of the ball, etc. It is going to be within. Let's see that. Of course, we don't have the angle.
Yeah, no, it's tough. And I think one thing too is to note is as officials, if we see this potentially happening, get our feet set and get our eyes stopped, or get our body stopped from moving, because then it's going to increase our chances of getting this right too. Because if we're still moving, our eyes are moving, everything's going to continue to move. So if we can sprint up the floor here and really set our feet, now we have a good look at it. And I mean, I didn't do it either. I
Yeah.
was not expecting that at all. I was expecting a dunk on this play, to be honest with you, but it didn't. It didn't happen that way. But yeah, just a good. I mean, in my opinion, a good block.
Yeah. I don't like the shift in the video. I tried to like sort of fix it, but it's between two cameras.
Hmm.
The
Well,
Corn
it's
Palace, though, we've seen this video, the video from this court, from frequent show contributor Chris Janish.
yeah,
Looks like a great venue.
it's a good venue. It's kind of weird because it's more set up for shows. So towards the direction we are, there's probably about, I don't know, I want to say at least 70 rows going up, and on the opposite end on the show area, the play
Uh-huh.
area with a stage, there's probably about 20. So it goes one way up really slowly. It's like I said, it's made mostly for plays and show choirs and things like that. But it's a very nice venue. It gets pretty loud in there. And it's the home of Mike Miller, if you know that name in the NBA world.
Mike Miller. Todd asking, did the ball not hit the edge of the square, putting it above the cylinder? So can you definitely say that it did not have a chance of going in? Well, we'd be mixing, it's apples and oranges at that point. If it could have a chance to go. I mean, the ball could have definitely had a chance to go in, but to have goaltending, it's got to be downward flight. To be basket interference, it has to be in the cylinder, right? So there's two separate judgments. Bouncing eyeballs. It's definitely a thing. And the other thing for me is like you're in transition, you want to get static, you expect to play at the basket or the play happens, and then I find myself getting stuck. I'm in that spot like at the 38 foot mark. I've
Hmm.
done a great job of stopping so that I don't have bouncing eyeballs, and then I'm stuck, right?
Yeah,
And I've got to get going again, keep moving.
yeah. And I think someone just commented it. If you don't know, don't blow. Like it's kind of a good one for this, but it's also kind of tough because if you're going to award points on this, you have to know that it is goaltending. But it's also a catch-22 because these are points that could be legitimate, and we're not giving it to them.
Yeah,
And so it's almost not the don't know, don't blow, because I think that's you can get away with missing a foul. Missing 2 points is really tough to not give someone.
it's true. It's true. And especially, I mean, this game sounds like it was not super close, competitive,
No.
etc. But we always want to take our adjudication of plays into the most intense moments, like this time of year when
Yep.
teams are losing and going home in tournament scenarios, and if we have end of game, etc. We want to refine our craft so that when this call occurs at an absolutely crucial moment of a game, we are correct. All right. All right. Let's move on. Let's look at play number 5. Well, that is what we call a fine how do you do. That is a pretty rough shot on that one.
Yeah. So this is a college Division III game, and I'll be honest, this is my first college game. So I'm just in the thick of it. I've already got this coach. This you can see him on the screen. I've already got him on me because I just gave an intentional foul to his son who's on the team, and then I go with this, and you can tell like first off, I shouldn't be walking towards the table. I should be walking directly towards those two because I don't know what the player that just got smacked in the face is going to be doing next. Um, so I need to walk. We should be walking towards that, maybe even sprinting into that. I mean, I see very little. The guy coming to try to do something more to him, but yeah, we should be sprinting into this. And it's I'm the only one who sees this because that's what we're looking as on the free throw attempt. I've got the bottom row, the next two over. The C's got the top one and the two closest on the top on my side. So I should be the only one that sees this, but you might catch it out of the corner of your eye if you're that center on this play. Um, but yeah, if when we go back to the large view of this one, the not slow mode, you can see number 31 right on the bench, and then the guy way on the end. They see this hit, and their reaction, in my opinion, is just priceless. So we'll just wait here for a second. But you can, as soon as it gets hit, just watch number 31 on the bench there. He knows that it's like not something good that happened there. So yeah, on this play, like this in the college realm, this is a flagrant two. In the high school, this is just a flagrant technical foul. This player should have been out of the game, should have been gone. Unfortunately, I was a new official.
Okay.
No one else saw the play. I was the only one who saw the play, and so they kind of talked me off the ledge. They were down by 30 points. I mean, it was kind of a lot of things that came into this, which shouldn't come into it, but yeah, this is a flagrant foul. This player should have been ejected. And when you eject a player in high school, they sit on the bench somewhere in the confines of the gym. They don't get to go to the locker room. In college, obviously, we toss them to the locker room, make them go there and sit the rest of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting that your partners had nothing on this play, always pointing out the fact that, especially, it sounds like it was not a competitive game at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And we're just sort of like potentially going through the motions. And we
Yep.
always have to caution against that, especially if there's any sort of energy in the game, etc. But the fact that nobody is aware of this from center or trail,
Mm-hmm.
something that's relatively obvious. Um, uh, we'll always have to examine our own role in situations similar to this. Are we really connected to the game? Are we really working the game, etc.?
Yeah. And I think for me, one thing that has shown me is like if I have a younger new official and I'm the R on the game, like I'm not going to say, "Are you sure you want to go with this?" Like I'm going to say, "Tell me what you saw." And if they tell me what they saw and that's what they saw, then we're going with that. Because if I have no knowledge of it, I can't add input. And if for example, say it wasn't that bad, say that he squared up and hit him, like not squared up, but hit him in the chest, didn't hit him in the face, like we probably still have a foul on this play, but it may not be a disqualifying foul. If
Right.
if I was the new official, I said, "Oh, he hit him in the face," like he just went and cold cocked him in the face, but he hit him in the chest. I'd be like, "Okay, we can eject this guy if you think that's what he did. But if the film comes back and doesn't show that, I have to eat it as the R saying like, yeah, I didn't see it, but I trusted my official, and we all went with the ruling of an ejection. And sometimes that's a tough pill to swallow, but I don't think I'm gonna inhibit my official from saying, yeah, he got just cold cocked in the face.
Yeah, yeah. You want to empower younger officials to, but especially in this situation, is what do you have? What did you see?
Yep.
What is your, and and the thing is that if you are, if we look at Black 31 here, he has the human reaction of,
Yeah.
oh my God, right? You see that from the
Yeah.
cheerleaders as well, or somebody adjacent to the game. It's like, right? And if it rises to the level of, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, you could
Yeah.
trust your instincts. That's amazing. This happened in your first collegiate game.
Yeah.
Oh, so where are we in the adjudication of the play? Let's see. Ball's released, and then the
Yep.
foul occurs. So it's while the ball is in flight,
Yep.
just to be
Ball
aware
goes
of.
in though too,
Yeah,
so that's another thing to take into account. I mean, I guess at any level, it doesn't entirely matter because this is going to be a technical foul or flagrant, I guess, in college. But the team that's offended is going to get this ball, and we're going to go division line in high school. And in college, I mean, if anyone cares, we're probably going to be. Man, I'm trying to think because it's right on that free throw line, and that's the line of demarcation in college, not the semicircle. So I would assume we'd go down towards the either side of the lane line, but it's one of those that's just like, okay, uh, team that gets offended gets the ball. They're going to shoot 2 free throws, and this is an intentional one. Well, no, this would be intentional. In ball's live, this would be an intentional foul, wouldn't it? It'd be an
yeah.
intentional
The ball
flagrant.
was live, and there's no team control. So if our offending player was the offensive player, whether the ball was released or not would be a factor.
Yep.
We just want to know all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to cancel the goal for any reason here. The
No.
ball's released.
Yep.
But even if it wasn't released, we have a foul by a defensive player while a player has begun their habitual try for goal.
Yep.
Continuous motion would apply as well.
Yep.
So what did you end up with on the play?
We ended up with what we call was a flagrant 1 in college, which would be similar to, I would say, an intentional foul.
Intentional.
The thing I think we did wrong was in the adjudication of where to throw the ball inbounds. We ended up giving it back to the blue team, which, the thought was, oh, it's a technical, and it didn't rise to a flagrant technical. So a technical is point of interruption in the college game. But this is clearly an intentional foul, and it would be in the high school game, which would then mean that player that is offended has to shoot. We can't have any player shoot this free throw. It has to be the offended player.
Right.
And then
Or they're
in high
eligible
school,
substitute on a play like this.
sure. Well, and
I
that's
think
and that's true too.
our offended player does a great job of taking the punch, as it were. Right?
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah. Yep. And so, like, if for some reason, say we had blood on this play in the college game, we would the coach could then sub someone in for him because it's a flagrant foul. It's an intentional foul that would result in him to come out of the game. Had this been a common foul and he's just unable to do it, then it's a different game. But yeah.
Yeah. Ball had been released. Yes. Yes. Yeah. That is kind of, if you look in the rules book, the picture next to F2 is this play.
This picture.
That's a flagrant. But it's really interesting the components of this play here. In that, let's go here. Is you've got you've got your first game right?
Yeah.
So we've got all the nerves and energy and the coach and your relationship with the crew and everything's new. Um, and then you've got your partners who don't have anything on the play, and it's sort
Yep.
of like we're sort of like, eh, let's not do what you think would be the inclination, what we should do. Let's do
Yep.
something less for the game, given all the factors of the game, etc. But it's a lesson learned, like you say, like you're going to take this situation and recognize, hey, here's what happened to me, and what I want to do with my crews, my young crew, my new officials, in order to empower them, is give them that takeaway. What do you have on this play? What is
Mhm.
your ruling?
Yep.
Flagrant two? Okay, right? What do you have, partner A? What do I have? We don't have anything that conflicts with that. We're
Yep.
going to go with F2, right? We're
Yep.
going to go with flagrant foul, right? Because
Yeah.
what's your confidence level? Absolutely. He reached up, measured up, hit him intentionally. It was a flagrant two. And we also
Yep.
want to develop our skills so that we are in the business of, I see that, I have an adjudication. Here's what
Yep.
it does. It rises to the level of this for me,
Yep.
right? So that we could just be have the ability to make that and not feel like, well, wait a minute, do I have to analyze this and that and the other thing? It's like, look at that play. What is it? Look at Black 31. He'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
He'll tell you what it is. That's a
Yeah.
flagrant two. Oh, don't go there. Yes. Yes, they were not fans of each other. They're not exchanging Christmas cards, those two. Now, I made a mistake. I said the previous play was play 5, but it was actually play 4. So what are we going to do? Let's look at our next play. All right, two-person game. Ball in the front court, deflected into the. Hold on. Hold on. Deflected into the backcourt, and the coach knows the ball was tipped here. Do we have a backcourt violation on this play?
I think this is a super difficult play with two person. Like I for a year I was video editing for a company, and so I got to see many plays and just clip one here and there. But this one I think is really tough because first off, you've got just two officials, the trail officials on the opposite side. All he sees is the ball go up in the air and a guy retrieve it, and he's on the line as he's retrieving it. So I mean, in a lot of things, I don't fault either of them. And the only person that maybe could have saw this would have been the lead, but he's almost shielded off, in my opinion. But to go to the point of this play, ball is tipped. It goes towards the backcourt, and it appears the guy's foot is on the line, like right as or prior to the catching of this ball, which would then put that player in the backcourt. And so the player would just retain possession in the backcourt after a tip ball, last touch by the defense, and then we're just going to keep playing on from there. So it would be no violation in this play.
Tough call. Tough call. Is our player ever in the backcourt? Would also be a question on this play. Their foot is obviously over, but we can get those scenarios where a player's on the ball of their foot and their
Yeah,
heel is raised.
correct. Yeah, I mean, I think this one is one of those that you're splitting hairs trying to figure out. Is he really on the line? Is he really not? And I think this is the benefit of the doubt on the fact that it is tipped and his foot is, I mean, it could be a micrometer off that line if you think it is, but
Mm-hmm.
let's go benefit of the doubt. His heel's on the line and we're calling it a illegal play.
Not something you see every day.
Are you talking about two-man or? I think that's
No,
more
just
common
not
in
just
some
not a
places.
not a play where the ball is deflected and a player catches it and they're
Yeah,
in that situation where their heel is raised.
yeah.
So what was what was your job as video cutting video for who?
So I was with a company called NCSA, and they help kids get recruited to play sports in college. And
Huh.
so I worked as a video editor. They'd give you their tape. You'd go through. I mean, if they said either this many games or go through my entire season. So I went through the. I don't know what I did for this person, but I went through their season, and I found myself a lot of times watching the officials versus watching the player I was supposed to, which is unfortunate because then I took more time doing that. But yeah, then I would edit the video, upload it to their profile, and then college coach, could see their highlights. So it was, it was a fun little thing.
Oh, cool.
But like I said, it got me a lot of videos that I could look at and review. But then it also took away from my actual like doing my job
Doing your
because I was
job.
constantly watching the officials in plays.
That's funny. Oh, boo, boo, boo. That's the previous. Was it tipped? I guess the appears to be the obvious thing that it was tipped. So if we look at this play and look at all of the things here. So if we have a ball, a team has team control, front court status, and the ball is deflected by our player in white here and goes to the back court, and a player with backcourt status, if he had his foot on the line, catches the basketball, this is a legal play by rule because the team that caused the was last to touch in the front court was the defensive team. If the player, in fact, catches the ball and then gains backcourt status, it would be a backcourt violation.
Yep.
A lot of things coming together there quickly. Competitive game. Two-person. Maybe. Billy Mack says legal. Legal if tipped. Yeah, tough. Yeah, a trail could have done what you ever watch wrestling officials, right? When they're evaluating whether a player's pinned, they go over, they jump down on the floor, and they're looking like.
I thought you were talking about running around the circle and trying to get a better look at it.
Well, getting on his horse here could have helped. Yeah, yeah, tough. The line is in the backcourt. That is true by rule. Correct, Thomas. Yeah. Yep. That was play 5. Okay.
I guess another thing to think about, Greg, here is say he catches that ball, and next thing you know, someone comes and tips it again. Once he catches the ball, now we have another 10-second count that we got to start,
Yeah,
technically.
technically.
And so we're at 4:22 right there. If for some reason the ball was tipped, I mean, obviously that's probably not going to happen on this play, but we got to have a lot of things coming into our mind here. Like, okay, we've got another 10 seconds to get across the division line. Because I've seen plays where next thing you know, weird thing happens. It gets tipped in the backcourt. And a guy, well, I guess if the guy was in the front court and tipped it, I guess it would start when it hit the backcourt again. But say a guy comes up and he dribbles it off his foot, now we got to keep that 10-second count rolling.
Sean says, had an evaluator recommend taking a diagonal path toward the center circles. Yeah, so I guess from here, well, question would be, is like when the ball settles here, if we were looking at two-person mechanics, right? and the ball's in this position, I think our trails has a pretty good look. But then it goes here. This is the sticky part in two-person. I mean, who's going to officiate this play? Are we going to say, okay, even though it's above the free throw line extended, lead, pick this action up, or are we both going to officiate this double team? Right? But I guess what Sean's emphasizing is taking a path here, getting more adjacent to the center circle so that we have an angle on the play, which we don't have from here. Would be a good takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a tough spot on the court. Ooh. The coffee's replenished.
Nice.
Nice. All right, I go there. Yeah. Yeah, here in California, we work a lot of two-person, a mix, but a lot of two-person at the high school level. All right, we're going there, and I'm going to go. What would happen if from here I said, all right, hey, at the start of the show, we looked at our first play, you make the call play. Let's take a look back at play number 1. Problem. All right, so we in transition. Interesting. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's go here. Andrew, this is not a play you see every day. What do you have on this play ruling?
Yeah, this is a very, very weird play. First, I mean, the dribbler loses the ball, and they both go for it, and then they both lose it. But what's really hard to see, and you might be able to see as it zooms in, is White. I think he was number White 3 or 4. He ends up squeezing. I can't even show you with my arms, but like he ends up squeezing his right arm and like hooking the player in green. So he's just floating in air and holding on to him as he's in the green's guy's like, dude, get off of me. So then once that happens, he just throws him. And I'm sitting there trying to figure out what the heck is going on. How is White 3 just floating in the air like this, not even walking, and he's going along with this guy? And Green is like not even grabbing onto him. Like, how is this happening? So you'll see me, I'm staying here like, what the heck is going on? And then when I see the throw, I'm like, okay, I have to have a foul on this. And so on this play, unfortunately, we ended up going just double foul. But I think we could get away with going double intentional because what player in White is doing right here is not a legal play. But I didn't recognize what he was doing until I saw the guy like say, get off of me and throw him. And so at that point, what we probably have, if we're going by the rules, we have an intentional foul on White, and then we have a dead ball technical on Green, just in the order of the things happening. But I think we can get away with going double intentional because both technically happen in the live play before I blow my whistle. Mm-hmm. But it's such a weird play that happens that you just like, why is this happening? What's going on here? But it's a good thing to note that when you have something going on, don't leave it just because you're supposed to get down the court. You've got two other officials. I mean, for us at least, I've got two other officials on this play that they're going to be officiating up and down the court, and I can stay with this the whole way.
Yeah, what a puzzler, right? So anytime we get players who are clamping, right? It's challenging even in slow motion to determine who is the offending player here, or are
Yeah.
both players offending, because there's, we always want to get an open look on plays, but
Hmm.
because of the player's action, the illegal part of what they're doing becomes obscured, right, or confusing, right, in the embrace.
Yep.
But we do see the fact that white is floating in the air and ultimately
Yeah.
gets tossed to the ground, gives us some signals about what we can have on this play.
Yeah. And I walked up to the coach and he's like, well, it should have been an intentional foul on Green because that's not a basketball play. And I turned to him, I said, well, what your guy did by grabbing him and floating with him is not a basketball play either. And so he kind of was like okay with it after that. But he really wanted an intentional foul. And I understand why he wants that. But yeah, I just couldn't do. I'm like, I'm not going to give someone a higher penalty on this one. But let's say we do go intentional on white and technical on green. This is one where we're going to end up shooting free throws because they're not offsetting fouls here. We've got an intentional foul, so we're going to have 2 free throws for that offended player. So the bigger guy is going to shoot 2 free throws, and then we're going to have a dead ball technical on him, and the team in white, they're going to choose someone to shoot the free throws, and then they're going to get the ball after that play. And of course, at the division line and across the table, don't do what I did one year and get everything right and then inbound it right in front of the table.
Not the greatest crime,
Yeah.
but yeah. Yeah. So what did you end up on the play? Just a foul on
We just did double personal fouls.
double
And
personal foul. So in a double
yep,
foul situation, we're going to resume point of interruption. That would be white team
white with the
control at the
ball.
spot nearest
Yep.
to where the ball was, near the division line, and
Yep.
that's how we'll resume.
Yep.
All
Well, I
right, I
mean,
like
yeah,
that.
really close to the division line. Really close. I mean, you could honestly, I mean, it's somewhere in that range of front court, so we probably could go anywhere. But if we're going, yeah, by the film and exactly where it happened, it's probably right by the division line.
Yeah. Let's see what everybody says on that. Oh, now I see. It's like, what are we looking at here?
Yeah.
Greg's going intentional on light blue or blue. There's color debate. Yeah, hook and hold is, I find, to be one of the most challenging things because you always, you always get a sense, I've missed something that led up to this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not aware of how they got to this circumstance. And now I'm going to make a ruling about the play with incomplete information. That's what I find.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do that. Thomas says double foul. Yeah, and it's always challenging if we're going to say, hey, look, we've got this live ball foul by white, and then we
Mm-hmm.
have a resulting action by blue. And since the other foul had occurred and caused the ball to become dead, even the absence
Yeah.
of a whistle by the official, now this is going to be a dead ball action. This is hard to parse
Yeah.
out and certainly hard to explain if we're going to come up with a ruling like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it was intentional, it would be treated just as it. Even if we deemed the actions of the players to be excessive contact and
Yeah.
rising to the level of an intentional, it's going to be adjudicated just as a double foul.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Lee says knuckleheads. Would we reset the shot clock in this instance?
No, this is a double.
No.
If you're calling it a double foul, you won't. If you do call it the intentional and then the technical, then you would.
Yeah. Double foul is point of interruption. Point of interruption would be all things as more and more states adopt a shot clock. The where the shot clock is will not be changed as a result of a double foul.
And another thing to note on a double foul is that it goes to where the ball is and not where the foul is, which is something I had this year with the crew is we had a foul in the post. It was a double foul in the post. Ball was on the wing. We ended up putting it underneath. And initially I'm like, I don't think that's right, but you put it where the spot of the foul is, obviously, every time. So we're going to the spot of the foul. But with a double foul, we go to where the ball is, which is the point of interruption.
It is a true story.
Yes.
Nobody's happy on this. And everybody's like, not sure exactly what happened. Phil Haddad. Good to see you, Phil.
I think on that, the trail could get this call, but I don't know if he's going to have all the information. Or I can somewhat see the entirety of the play since it's opening up to me. He's only got the backside of that play.
I agree. And this is a good one where the center of right. So as center in transition here, our first thought is, is this player allowed to move freely coming out here?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, what jumps off is our player in white floating gracefully down the court.
It's crazy.
I like at the very start. There's a little bit of a, his legs are going like this, and he's up in the air. We've got to appreciate the hilarity, that is that. Hey, I got to do something here. I have got to do something. Give me a second. I'm going to go there. There. Andrew, how are you doing for time?
I'm doing all right, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm going to go there. Okay, it's going to have to wait. Boop, boop, boop. All right, let's look at a bonus play. All right, throw-in violation is ruled. Come on, ref. Isn't that pretty severe on this play? What do we have here?
I mean, the first thing that kid that grabbed the ball and walked out of bounds, he's like, that's not what I was trying to do. And I'm like, I get it, but by rule, the guy had the ball out of bounds. He threw it into you, and you took a step out of bounds. I'm like, this is not a play that you like calling. It's not a play that you see. And typically that person they toss it to is out of bounds with them. They just hand it off and take off running. But I don't think this is splitting hairs. I think this is by the rule. He's had possession out of bounds. He threw it into a guy legally in bounds. And as soon as we've done that, we've completed a throw-in. So after that point, everything else has to be legal. And he just walks out of bounds with the ball. And so at that point, we have to call an out of bounds.
Yeah, so when does the throw-in begin? after a scored goal is key in this equation, right? And
Yeah.
there's a couple of things. One is the timing of the play is unusual because of the batting of the ball, right?
Yep.
And anytime the ball is batted on a scored goal, we want to be aware of who did the batting,
Yep.
right? But it is our throwing team.
Yep.
Yeah, everything was after that. Then everything sort of settles and becomes the normal routine, except our count has already begun.
Yep. And I think the
This,
note too, this isn't a throw-in violation because he completes a throw-in legally. This is whether it's traveling. I don't know if it's traveling because I think he steps out of bounds before he travels, but this is not a bounds violation.
yes, that is what we would have. And I guess the question is, do we have any ability in this instance to recognize that, wait a minute, my count, which I do habitually, actually should not have started, in that I didn't recognize what the players on the court were doing? And can I suspend my count or not?
Yeah.
The coach on the other end of the floor is saying, you began your count, right? This
Yep.
throw in has begun by rule, and they have
Yep.
complete rule support for that.
Yeah, and I think that's where you can't kind of give credence to what happened there. Is that coach knows, and especially by like in the college realms, they know the rules a little bit more than high school coaches. So he'd be all over us saying, "Hey, this is a play, and you allowed an illegal action here." And they're going to send that to my supervisor. They're going to show this clip and say, "Hey, we lost the game by 3." Not that this is gonna, but we lost the game by 3. This is one possession that we should have had under our
Yeah.
hoop on an inbound play.
Yep. I think it's, we're kind of for me, I see this and I'm like kind of kicking myself that I began the throw in count. But, I began it because the player had the ball out of bounds, right?
Yep.
Even though I didn't recognize potentially what was about to occur here, but unlucky.
Yeah.
Unlucky. Sean's going with travel, out of bounds. Michael asking, but being a made basket, couldn't he run the baseline? Well, the question is not the thrower moving. That was legal. The toss to the teammate here, which he thought was, no, you take the throw in instead of me, was actually considered to be a throw in pass because the throw in had begun by rule, right? The ball was at the disposal of the player, and the official had begun their count. So that would be our reasoning on that play. And that's pretty straightforward. So let's look. Let's look at another bonus play. Well, that is not something you see every day. We have an end of game scenario, 4-point lead, clock strikes 0. The official is about to leave the floor, and we have a technical foul.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine send this to me. Two really good Class B, so lowest level basketball teams in our state, and yeah, I mean we can look at the initial play. I'm not really sure if there really is even much at all. I think the guy just ends up tripping as he's shuffling, but we can argue about that all day. But the following things that happen is, I mean, you don't necessarily want a player to get away with saying something to you, but can we get out of this situation without a technical is the first question. Because the clock at 0, and then he says something to you. I think we can get out, just take off running. Let's just not even listen to anything they're saying and get out of there. But if we do call this a technical foul now, we got to know was there time on the clock? First off, obviously it happens after the clock and the buzzer goes off, but is there any
Mm-hmm.
time on the clock? Secondly, we got to look at, okay, now what's the score? Because in high school, the only way we're shooting free throws on a technical foul when the clock strikes 0 is if it can dictate the outcome of the game, whether that puts them ahead by 1 and wins the game or makes both of them and they tie the game. So even, let's say, for example, the score's at, he makes a shot, it's at 48, and then the score's at 50. We shoot that first free throw, he misses it, the game's over. We don't need to shoot that second free throw either. So there's a lot of things that come into play there. But in this situation, the 2 free throws, they shoot the 2 free throws. I think he makes both of them, so they lose by 2 technically. But that's the high school rule. That's not how that goes. The college rule with betting and gambling, things like that going on, you got to shoot all the free throws. You got to make sure every point is accounted for. And so that, and as far as I'm aware, that's both college men and women. But yeah, in high school, if we can get out of there, let's just run away, get out of there as quick as we can. Not saying the official did something wrong here. I'm just saying let's just try to get out of there. Clock's at 0.
Yeah, I guess the other variable would be does the technical foul rise to the level of flagrant? Right? You've been
Sure.
cheating us all night, ref. Right? Or tirade expletives, etc. Maybe the guidance at this league or level is intolerance for vulgarity or whatever. Something that we have at the JC level on the women's side here in Northern California, where if a player drops an F-bomb or something, that's a flagrant foul.
Yep.
Do we need to report this foul even if we do have the technical?
I don't even know. I don't even know if we need to, just because of what the time is on the clock. It's 0, and so I don't think we do. But say what you're talking about. If it rises to an ejection level technical, now we got to report this, because now we're ejecting the player even after the game is over, which is unfortunate. But I think in South Dakota they have to sit out a game if you get ejected from a game.
Yeah.
And so if we're looking at it from that, I don't know. Yeah, I guess if you call it, we might need to report it. It's just such a weird situation.
It is, and we have to be ready to recognize that we're opening a box. Other stuff could happen.
Yep. Well, yeah, and this is the worst part is you call that technical. Next thing you know, some other kid lips off to you, or the coach lips off to you. Now we've got 6 free throws, and we have to shoot them now, because 6 points could impact the outcome of the game.
Right. So who is ahead in this scenario?
The team that gets a technical is ahead.
Okay.
They're ahead by 4.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So we just. Right. In this situation, our training is we're leaving the court. We're going to leave the visual confines. If something occurs that rises to the level, we cannot ignore this. Like, let's say, rather than saying something to us, it was a taunting action towards another player, or again, something that rose to a different level, a racial epithet, homophobic slur, something like that. Something that cannot be ignored, needs to be addressed. If we don't address it, it's going to potentially, So it puts us in a tough spot. But we do, like you say, need to know what is the proper adjudication here. Are we going to shoot free throws at the high school level? In this instance, the answer would be no. So, all right, so I got you. So the Warbirds down, they score 4-point game. Ref, you suck. We're going to assess technical foul. Our crew's like, what you doing, bro? Come on, let's get out of here. Let's see. No impact on the outcome of the game. I don't know what that means, Ted, about the crow's nest.
Let me see.
Yeah, the legality of the play, or not really a factor. Mike says report it. I guess my question would be: could we report it after the fact, like in a game report? Right. Our just jurisdiction on the game has ended when we leave the visual confines, but we do have the ability to do clerical adjustments. I have no problem here stepping to the table. Player tactical red, black,
Yep.
43,
Yep.
and then we're leaving, right?
Yep.
But we do have to be aware we are opening a box.
Yep. So
Gotcha,
Ted was
gotcha.
making a comment that he was up in the record. He was recording this video. Essentially, is what Ted was saying there.
Oh, interesting. Nice. Ah, gotcha, gotcha. Cool. Let's look at another bonus play. All right, backcourt violation ruled. What do we have on this play scenario?
Yeah, it's a weird, another unique weird play, but it's just one of those that you probably don't see very often. And you're staring at it. You're like, okay, ball is in the front court. There's team control in the front court. I mean, you almost can make an argument that when she stepped to pivot and throw this ball, she stepped on the line. But disregarding that, she bounces the ball in the backcourt, which then gives the ball backcourt status. And then her teammate grabs the ball, even though she's in the front court. She grabs the ball, which then makes it they're the first ones to touch it after the ball has backcourt status and has now returned to the front court. And so this is a backcourt violation by rule, but it's just a tough one. Like when I called it, I'm literally saying out loud exactly what happened. You can see how long it takes me. I said ball bounced in the backcourt. She grabbed the ball in the front court. This is an over and back or backcourt violation.
Okay, awesome. So one shortcut that I use when adjudicating backcourt plays is team control in the front court, last to touch in the front court,
Yep.
first to touch in the backcourt. But both of our players are in the front court. Nobody's in the backcourt.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
something wrong with my shorthand?
I mean, it's this. I think it's the ball status part of it. That's the toughest part. Is it is a quick rule of thumb, but then when it comes to the fact that the status of the ball is the most important thing, um, yeah, once she retains it after it has been in the backcourt, yeah, now it becomes a backcourt violation.
Yeah, we've actually had this play in a previous episode,
Okay.
a 5 play Friday, and it forced me to recognize that my shorthand was not quite correct. The correct shorthand would be team control in the front court, last to touch in the front court, first to touch after the ball has been in the backcourt,
Yeah.
which is what we have on this play. So the ball gaining backcourt status, the offensive team, the team in control, cannot be the first to touch in this situation. I don't think she steps on the line, but it is very close.
Yeah.
But I guess the key question is, did White tip the ball?
Yeah.
That's also a variable on the play. And if they did, they would be the one who caused the ball to go back court.
Yep.
So there's a couple of variables on the play, but a unique play, and one would say this is a unique play with Andrew Gross, just like it says down there in the lower third. Let's get rid of that. Edward, on the previous play, I would not. I don't think we have a lot to. We're just reporting and moving on. Great catch by the trail in this instance. 100% backcourt unless tipped. As Greg has said, yes, this is going to be a whirring play. There's some whirring going on as we analyze all of the elements of the play. And we don't need to be in a rush, right? That's always a takeaway, is on a play like this that there is processing involved, is embrace the fact, wait a minute, I'm sorting things out, so, getting to an end process, making a determination. If my whistle comes late, I'll own it. But we want to get the play right. Okay, let's move on to another bonus play.
Yeah, this play right here is a fun is a fun one to think about, but also the how crucial it is to make sure we're counting in the backcourt. When you initially see the ball come into play on the game clock, it's at 13. I'm not saying our count is going to be 100% accurate to a T, but as soon as she comes up to the division line and never crosses, and the ball gets tipped to the back, catch an inbound right at 13. So when that clock hits 3, this is a 10-second backcourt violation. But we don't have a count. We just know we have last second shot. We see him point to himself and give that signal. But as soon as that clock hits 3 here, we've got a 10-second. And that defense did a good job and should have been awarded the ball here. But it just shows like we need to have a 10-second count. Even if it isn't exactly 10, at least someone can look at the film and say, okay, he's got a count. And even if he's off, at least he's got a count and he's going by his count. In South Dakota, if the shot clock was on, we just go by the shot clock. This situation, again, it would be just a hand count. And I don't know. I tend to look up at the clock, even if it's under, and say, okay, inbound at 13. I know they got to get it across before 3. Mm-hmm. And so I might do a count, but my count's going with those numbers as they're going.
Well, I have a question on this play. I was with you 100%. But, of course, we like to pick nits and analyze all of the things. So when does the 10-second count end by rule?
Front court status, right?
Front court status. Does the ball gain front court status on this play?
That's a good point. You know what? It's really close. It's really close. Again, I think, you know what? You might be good there. You might say that defender's foot isn't on the line. When she lunges forward, it's really, really close. And again, I think that, I might be the one that's, being a little nitpicky saying, oh, she touched that line, but she might not be on that line. So that'd be front court status at that moment that ball is touched by her.
I'm really embracing this because oftentimes I'll have a clip and I'll have a narrative about the clip. And then somebody in the chat says, well, wait a minute, because there's something about the play that I didn't see. And I didn't see this, but having you just have a chance to explain it while I just watch the play it is helpful. So so the ball has backcourt status. We have a dribbler, so their foot in the front court does not change their backcourt status. In order for a dribbler to gain front court status, all 3 points have to touch. But when the defender contacts the basketball, what is our defender's status? She has front court status. And if she contacted the ball would gain front court status, and our count should end, by rule in that instance, even though the ball is like 3 feet in the back court.
Yeah. And I think this is similar to the I'm going to say the rule change, but the clarity is very similar to this, where say this player jumps up and bats the ball into the backcourt. Well, now it has front court status, and the exception is that person can now grab it again, which I think it just messed everybody up making that clarification because I don't think anyone was ever calling it that way. But I think it's very similar to that. We got front court status. We tipped the ball into the backcourt again, and now, I think initially when I watched this, I was like, oh, this is definitely a 10-second backcourt. And now watching it again, I think there's a little bit of hardwood between that line and the defender's foot.
Yeah. Yeah. And another takeaway here is we have case play at the collegiate level. It's not at the NFHS level. But if we have a situation like, let's say this was after a timeout and there's 13 seconds remaining, everybody knows there's 13 seconds remaining. The ball is dribbled in the backcourt, and then it's not, or let's say it even goes out of bounds in the backcourt and the clock now says 1 second.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. It was 13. It was 1. That's a 10-second violation. But we don't have the ability to use that math in that situation at the high school level when we have a visible count.
Yep.
It's the officials count. What do you have at the NCAA men's level when you're under 30 seconds in a period?
You do a hand count as well. Yep. So
Okay.
if you're off, you're off. But I think they'll let you get away with saying, okay, I see 30 up on that clock. And if I know it's exactly 30, then they better get across by 20. Like, I'm going to speed up my count to be 10 by the time it hits that 20-second.
Yeah, so it's not immediately evident what the purpose of this clip is. The fact that we're talking about it, I can understand people's confusion. Michael says 10-second violation. And yeah, obviously the absence of a count here, and sometimes when officials get to an end of game situation, there's no pressure, right? They're maybe less disciplined about their count, but of course we can keep a mental count in our head, right? Let's see. Phil says legal. Yeah, so it's super, potentially the front court status. But I guess takeaways would be to, first of all, when we're analyzing 10-second violation plays, is what is the rule? What has to happen in order for the 10-second count to end? And it's to gain front court status. So if we get a late 10-second pass, the ball is in the air. Player's about to catch it, our count gets to 10. That is a 10-second violation because it's not being over the court. It's gaining front court status. On the play. Yeah, the clock is very glitchy. And also, this is not a competitive game, if that's the whole scoreboard. 27-4. But somebody's got to ref that game, baby. All right, how about another bonus play? It's a flop off.
Yeah, I liked how you titled this in the Dropbox folder as Floporama, because it is clearly one where there's no displacement on majority of these. The guy lands on that one, lands right in front of him, and the guy just falls. This guy stops shy of contact, and I almost think the guy in white makes him fall. He doesn't push through. He doesn't displace him. And then and then you look at the decorum of the coach. He just is adamant there's a flop, and then he runs down to the end and sees another one. He's freaking out. And if I would see this across the way as the C on this play, I probably would come in with a bench warning, because let the play finish and come with a bench warning, because I just feel like his team is trying to take charges here, trying to make this a very difficult play for the officials. And I think it helps to know maybe this is a team, they're going to take charges. They're going to try to take a charge on these plays. But I don't know if his reactions, he doesn't go out of his box, but he sprints down to the end really wanting this official to give him a call that isn't there. So I think it would be warranted to give, at least in South Dakota, I don't know if NFHS has really, I think they do that. Give a warning to the coach. You're not taking away his box. You're not doing anything like that. You're just saying, hey, coach, like, we're calling the game. We saw these plays. It's not none of them were fouls by any nature. None of them were
Yeah,
illegal.
I agree with you. The second does appear to be the player goes right here. We got white with push from behind right there.
Yeah. And I was just gonna say, Greg, this might be the last play I can do. I'll have to dip out. Sorry about that.
No problem. Awesome. Well, I also, you see gray number. I cannot see their numbers. I think we have an illegal uniform scenario. What are those, yellow? Ay. I mean, the video is
sure
is blurred. Yeah, but come on.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me go. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go, Andrew. I appreciate you joining today, sharing the clips, analyzing the plays, breaking down game video, helping us get better as basketball officials. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it as well. I always like doing that and helping people learn. I mean, obviously, I don't know if you like plugs or not, but I like the Rules Talk for Referees on Facebook. That's where I post a lot of plays, give a lot of rulings. Majority of the time I'm right, but the last 2 weeks, it felt like I've been more wrong than right on a lot of those plays that we've seen. But yeah, that's just it's a good one that's been started. I know you're like I'm trying to think of the word that they use to describe you. You're not a moderator. You are a rules expert is what the phrase is. So yeah, if people want to check that out, get on Facebook and join that group. We'd love to have you in there to give some comments about plays and even post plays so we can all get better.
Awesome. Well, I'll put a link to the Facebook group down below. And that's really, you sort of touch on, we post plays, we think we have a ruling, we think we know all the variables, but then we get some information, right? And it helps us, counterbalance. Somebody comes in and says, well, what about this? And then we, change our perspective and get a firmer understanding of the rules. We like to describe our rules knowledge and awareness about plays as being like a block of cheese, a round of cheese. It's smooth, it's solid. There's, no imperfections, etc. It's really solid, but then we slice that cheese open and there's some little bubbles in there. There's some gaps, some lack of awareness, and things that we can get better as. And it's the discourse between officials, the communication, the sharing of ideas and perspectives that helps us smooth those out and become better as basketball officials.
Yep, absolutely. And everybody like this channel, like this page. That way we can get good content like this from Greg.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to stick around with the live I'm going to stick around with the live stream viewers for a little bit.
Yeah.
You go officiate your game and do me a favor, Andrew. Call it both ways. Come on, ref.
I'll keep the fouls even. How's that sound? Just kidding.
And wear the jacket. Jacket.
Okay. I'll take a picture of the locker room for you all. You can send it out if you want.
Awesome. All right, Andrew, take care.
Thank you.
Oh, I got to do some stuff, man. Who moved my cheese? I think, yeah. It's strong. David, thank you. Good to see you. I will, Michael, drop a link in the, it's Rules Talk for Referees. Okay. All right. Wait a minute. Let's do this. I got skills. I got skills. I got to learn to do this stuff. Mm-hmm. Not going to do it. Can't do it. I don't have skills. There it is. I will put a link in the chat. Yeah. Groups rules talk with referees, all one word. All right. Well, I have no games. We're out of games here in California. But we are. We'll have a 5-play Friday next week. Others are officiating a very important championship games, etc. And there's always some things to learn, some mistakes potentially made, end of game situations. We want to be at our best there so we can get better doing those. Yeah, we don't have to. I have no issue with the gray of the uniforms. I cannot see the numerals. That's pretty amazing.
No 5-play Friday next week. What's your test Friday morning next week?
It's going to be a short show next week. All right. Well, I'm going to stick around myself. I got to do some, let's see. What would happen if I did this? Thanks for sticking around today to the end of the show. Much appreciated and much love. Do give me a moment to thank those who help fuel our broadcast, our tremendous show supporters: James Frazee, Yvette Perry, Aaron Wall. Ay, ay, ay. I'm pissed off. Aaron Wall, Jacob Krause, and Mike Connors. Much appreciated. Much love. You want to support the show? I will make sure that there is a link, that it is down in the show notes below. And I will ensure also that there is a link above. Awesome. We have for you additional video content. It's available for you right. Hi. Got additional video content for you. It's available right here. I've made this choice. YouTube made this choice. Guess what? You make your choice. We'll see you in the very next video. Take care, everybody. That was embarrassing. Don't worry, Mike. It'll look great in the final product. And we'll use it next week as well. There's two things. One is, I think everything went pretty well overall with the guest. It's been a while since I've had a guest with the technical stuff. But it did throw me off. Throws me off. All my automations fall into the gutter. All right, so I hope everyone has a great St. Patrick's Day. I hope your brackets remain as intact as possible. But I am going to wrap it up. I am going to say goodbye. I'm going to hope everybody has a great day, and we'll see you next Friday for a brief 5-Play Friday. All right. Let's do it. Let's take it on home. See you, everybody.